Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this highlight video from my European Racing Series Round 2, which was at Bahrain. This was in Tier 4, so we're not the quickest of drivers, but it's good fun nonetheless. As you can see, I'm starting down in 8th place, and it was a pretty bad qualifying for me, especially considering at Australia we qualified on pole, and we had a pretty much dominant drive. We just sadly got P2 due to some safety car shenanigans at the end and a broken front wing. So I was really expecting more from this race, and qualifying down in 8th was not a good start. Essentially, qualifying went awful. I couldn't string a lap together. I had to do a double lap, so yeah, we managed to get a final lap in that was a little bit quicker, so we have got fresh or good quality soft tyres. So yeah, we'll see what we can do from 8th. Our teammate Techno's down in 11th. He's starting on the hard tyres, so we've got alternate strategies running, which could give us a decent shout of some good points. But our race pace is usually much better than qualifying pace, and that's what I was really banking on. So here we go then. We wait for the 5 red lights. We try to get our revs at about 11,000, and we've got it at 11.3 thousand. We go. There's already some issues with the server. We've got blue flag, but that's the first time I've ever got a better start than someone else. We go down the inside into turn 1, nice and late onto the brakes. The McLaren has an issue. He bumps into the Force India, or the Racing Point, pardon me, which means that we can go around the outside. You can see in the background so many people just collide. As I've got my teammate Techno in here, who can add some insight to the race. But lap 1, we're a little bit further down. We keep it nice and sensible. P6 already. And you can see the guys in front, they're just getting a little bit feisty into the S's. The Ferrari runs wide, and we slot in behind the Ferrari, switch to the inside, dive down the inside of both of them. First gear, short shift up into second, just make sure you get no wheel spin. And we're up into 4th place, and yeah, job's a good one. On lap 1, run a little bit wide into the left-hander of turn, I think that's 9 or 10. And yeah, now we can just plan on trying to get a good run and look for Jojo into turn 1. And right now I'm just trying to keep the tyres nice and clean. I don't want to overly push. I just want to make sure I'm in a decent position for the rest of the race. Into the double right-hander, drop it down into 4th gear. And this is where everything starts to go a bit crazy. So Mnemonics retires from the session, and then the safety car comes out. And Techno, I think the safety car made everything a bit crazy, as I forget the safety car means slow down. And now Jojo's out the race and he goes really slowly, so I abuse that and pass him. And yeah, what did you make of the safety car?
It was interesting because cars were stopping in the middle of the road. Now normally when you have a safety car you slow down but you don't go stationary. And also what you normally do is you don't end the race after one lap after the safety car's deployed. So that was an exciting event.
And as we can see, the race winner just popped up on screen, so it was a bit confusing and we didn't really know what to do, so we just kept on going. And on the next lap, we come round and safety car doesn't come in this time, so we just wait. But the race decides we'll end the race now as a few people dive into the pit. And as we like to say whenever an incident happens, dum dum na na dum dum dum. So for obvious reasons, we had to restart the race, but I was happy because I got driver of the day. How that happens, I do not know. So there you go, driver of the day. Sadly, it wasn't the day though, was it?
No.
So going into the actual race, it's now daylight. Such was the wait that we had to endure. So this was obviously going to be rather weird for everyone, because I don't think anyone's ever driven Bahrain in the day unless you're doing time trial. And even time trials in the night, I think. So yeah, I don't know if this does anything in terms of tyre wear, etc. But here we go. I'll try to keep my revs at 11.5, but I have a bit too high. I'm at 11.9, so I get a bit too much wheel spin. And I short shift up to 4th. ERS, turn up to rich, run down into turn 1, nice and late on the brakes. And we squeeze ourselves down the inside of Mnemonics. We bang wheels a little bit, but we'll take that. Ferrari gets a little bit shaky. and we use that just to gain another position up into P6, and we're in the exact same spot that we were last time, heading into turn 2, as there's a bit of an incident up ahead. Mnemonics goes super slow. We tap him, take a quick little look, front wing's still there, thank God for that. As we make our way into the S's now, Mnemonics super slow, so I just want to get the run and move to his inside, but again, I just catch him at a bad point, dive down the inside, a little bit cheeky, a little bit rough, but I think it's okay, but we'll see if we get a penalty or anything afterwards for it. Anyway, up into P5 now, and we've got Mr. Joshu up ahead. So at the end of the lap, we run a little bit wide into the final corner, which that's all on me. I just pushed a bit too hard. Turn up to Rich, use ERS. Now these two are fighting, so right now you're just thinking, okay, what's going to happen into turn 1? And you know they're probably going to squeeze each other wide. So we just get ready to get the cutback. Nice and late onto the brakes, second gear, and indeed they force each other wide. We get the position on one, hold it around the outside of the other, little bit of contact, just make sure you don't lose the back end. And now we can look for something onto Jojo. He goes defensive, 3 abreast, nice and late on the brakes, hang it around the outside, just make sure not to lose that rear end, use up all of the track. So much grip there actually on the exit of turn 4. Sweet pass J-Mart, and that is us up into P3. And somehow at the end of the lap we're already on the back of Mr. J-Mart. So I don't know why, but we were just way quicker than everyone else on the soft. So DRS open is lap 5 now. We get the new fastest, no, not the fastest lap of the race, almost. Nice far back, 130 meters down into first gear, get it stopped at the apex, and away we go. And Bahrain's good for that, because if you ever take someone into T1, you still get DRS in the second straight. So it's juicy, nice and late, third gear. I got scared for a second that J-Marts would just whack into my rear end, but he didn't. So that's good, and now we try to catch up to Jay Daly. And on the next lap, again, we're somehow already on the back of the racing point. Again, I just run that little bit too wide, just turning in a bit too early into the final corner. DRS open, and honestly I didn't think I'd be able to pull off the move, but here I was thinking, can I go for something? And I thought, nah, I'll just slot in behind. So I looked for the outside, and then I'm like, you know what, let's just switch over to the inside, down into first gear. Danny Rick move. Now I could have squeezed Jay Daly out onto like off circuit, but I decided to play it clean. I just open up DRS, open DRS, turn up the ERS, down the inside, and there's absolutely nothing the racing point can do. Third gear, just use up the revs. Fourth, and now I just want to use up all of my remaining ERS and fuel on this lap so that I can try to get outside of that 1 second DRS zone, and we've already got the gap up to 7/10, so I'm pretty happy with that. But we just keep our heads down for the remainder of the lap, try to get it over a second. I think in the end we get it up to something like 9/10, as I make a couple of mistakes, so I think it's already, what, 8/10 now. I could have taken a bit more speed into this next corner, because as you'll see I brake a little bit too early and I drop it down into third, so I could have braked about 20 meters later, and that costs us about a tenth or so. Through the double right-hander, we've already got a nice gap visually. Fourth gear, missed the apex a little bit, but that's okay. So yeah, the gap's now nice and big. Lap 9, Jay Daly pitted on either lap 7 or lap 8, I can't remember, and I thought, you know what, I've still got a bit of life left in the tyres, they're at 55%. I could go for another lap, but there's no point risking it, so I'll just whack on a set of hard tyres at the end of this lap essentially. And I think we were doing a low 31, so we were staying somewhat consistent. So into the final corner, the VSC comes out, which is honestly the perfect timing for me. Maybe if it had come out a bit earlier it would have been better, because I could have just abused a bit more of the delta coming into the pit. So yeah, everything just kind of fell into place, and I think it was like a 2.5 to 3 second lead we had over Jay Daly. Well, you'll see when we come out of pits. Someone pitted in front of us. I think that was an Alpha that we then overtake in a couple of laps. So out of the pits, and you can see the gap to Jay Daly. It was 33 seconds. He'll cross the line in a bit, I think. Well, I guess we won't see. Anyway, it went to 8 seconds. Oh, there you go. 10 seconds and it drops to about 9.7. So Over the remainder of the race, we just tried to push that gap as much as we could to Jay Daly because Mnemonics and J Mott still had to pit. And there you go. You can see the gap is now 15 seconds on the penultimate lap of the race. So we stretched about 6 seconds. Jay Daly was much quicker on the hards than he was on the softs. We weren't going 100%. We were going about 90. So I thought I'd just show you guys a lap at Bahrain, my final lap. I was pushing on Rich to try to get the fast lap, but I just couldn't do it. So it's not the most consistent, but I'll show you guys, or I'll try to show you what you want to do. So turn 1, you want to brake at about 130, 120 meters, drop it down into second. You can let it out wide and pull it back across, but I just keep it to the right just to try to get the best run out. Short shift all the way up to 4th through that left-hander. Now use all of the track going into the right-hander. You want to brake just after that 100 meter board. 3rd gear, short shift up to 4th, and use more track than I do out on the exits. You go over the curb. Use the curb on the left, drop it down to 5th. If you're on a hot lap, you can keep it in 6th. And out down into the right-hander. We overshoot, but ideally you want to stay in 2nd gear and then just keep it nice and tight to the apex. Don't use any of the curb through there. Now into the double left-hander. Nice straight braking. Drop it down into 2nd. We've run a bit wide and you can see us lose the back end because for some reason we dropped it down into 1st. As I mentioned, I was trying to push and try to get a fast lap. Into the left-hander, all of the track. About 60, 70 meters, 4th gear, easy on the power, very easy to run wide. Pull it over to the left, flat out through this right-handed. Sometimes you can kiss the curb, but it's no point risking it. All of the curb on the left, drop it down to 4th, kiss the apex. Don't really want to ride it. On the exit, you should go right over the curb to get use as much track as you can. And into the final corner, again, use all the track, 100 meters, drop it down into 3rd, short shift to 4th. Shouldn't have taken the curb, but you should use some of the curb on exit. And I think in the race we were just doing consistent like 31.2s. I mean, that was a 30.7 because we used up all our ERS, etc. And yeah, we take the win by about 17 point something seconds. So with that, we tie with Jay Daly at the top of the standings. We take P1. I'm pretty sure Jay Daly won the first race. I didn't get driver of the day. Screw Gaunt.
I must admit it was weird because you go from 8th till 4th, 8th till 3rd, sorry, you get driver of the day. You go 8th to 1st. No driver of the day.
8th to 1st, easy. So yeah, it was good. Techno got a point. Next race is what, Vietnam?
Yes.
Oh god.
I will be in the jungle practicing. Because otherwise I'm going to spin on every lap.
Yeah, so, well, we'll be back in 1 week at Vietnam. It's on Tuesday. I'll be streaming that as well on, I don't know, YouTube or Twitch, so we'll see. But hope you guys enjoyed, and catch you next time. Ciao.